Hi, today I'm going to make a cow tongue. This is my second one. I did a cow tongue a couple months ago, and I followed the internet instructions on that one, along with some tips from a friend of mine, and I steamed it. Most people say boil it, some people say steam it, so I steamed it. And I added aromatics to the water, just like people say you're supposed to. Celery, garlic, onions, bay leaves, I don't remember. So I cooked it like that. I liked it, but I did not love it. People on the internet say that this is the best piece of meat you'll ever eat in your life. People love cow tongue. But I did not love mine. I liked it and I ate the whole thing, and I'm happy I did, but I decided to try again. So today I'm going to throw out all of those internet recipes. I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to cook it more like a pot roast. I'm going to put it in a Dutch oven in an oven 275 degrees, 1 hour per pound. I'm going to brine it first. Nothing too fancy about the brine. It's just going to be water and salt and beef broth. I really just want it to taste meaty and beefy and good, and be nice and tender. So ideally, it would be cool if I would cut into this thing after 4.5 hours and it just falls apart. You know, cut it with a fork, that kind of pot roast thing. I don't know if cow tongue does that or not. I don't know if that's a possibility. But we're going to see. So I'm going to brine it first, and we'll go from there. It's going to be a long day. Okay, so I'm going to make a simple brine here for my cow tongue, and I figured about 2.5 quarts of water seems to be enough to cover my cow tongue. So just for dissolving the salt, probably half of that I think is probably fine. Get that cooking. Using iodized salt, not kosher. They say you should use half as much for iodized, so it ends up being a little bit less than half a cup. For flavoring, I'm just going to put some beef broth in there. That's about a cup of beef broth, unsalted. I didn't want the added salt going in with the salt in the recipe. Don't know what would happen there. I'm just going to stir it till it all dissolves, and then I will add the rest of my water, and I'll put it in the fridge to cool. This brine has been in the fridge for almost an hour, long enough that it gets cooled off. It's a little bit less than room temperature, I would say. And so I am ready to put the cow tongue in it. So keeping my cow tongue right now in this cast iron Dutch oven. After I cleaned it, I cleaned the Dutch oven, but I also cleaned the cow tongue pretty well, just gave it a good scrubbing. This is it. It's a big one. It's 4.5 pounds. I don't know why I got such a big one. I did not need this large of a cow tongue, but I was excited, I guess. So we're going to drop it down in our brine. Make sure that the brine covers the entire thing, and it does. So There's almost no one online saying you should brine a cow tongue, but I wanted to try some different things with this one. So this tongue is going to sit in this salty, beefy water for 4.5 hours. I decided to go for 1 hour per pound. I think I've seen that rating for other meats, chuck roast and such. So 1 hour per pound, 4.5 hours. Going to put this in the fridge. You don't brine meat at room temperature. Got to keep it cold. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll come back. We'll put it back in this Dutch oven, and we'll cook it for a really long time. Alright, we have our cow tongue that's in this pot back here. It's still in the brine. It's been there about 4.5 hours. Right now the time is about 7:30 p.m. And so it's time to put that in the Dutch oven and cook it. So I've buttered the Dutch oven. So pull this monster out of here, drop it into the buttered Dutch oven. I decided I'm going to go ahead and use some beef broth in here. You'll remember I used a cup of this for the brine, so that leaves about 32 minus 8, 24 ounces left in here. So I'm just going to pour that in. Actually, I'm going to stop there. That's probably used about half of this. It comes up to about halfway up the tongue, and I don't want to boil this. I just wanted to give it some nice liquid to sit in. And then just for fun, I'm going to put some butter in it, about half a stick, because, you know, it's butter. And that's it. That's it. So the plan is put this in the oven. The oven's turned off. It's cool. I haven't preheated it. I'm going to let the oven preheat with the Dutch oven in it. I think that's supposed to prevent the enamel on the Dutch oven from cracking. So that seems like a good thing. And low and slow, 275 degrees. 1 hour per pound, so 4.5 hours, 275. I plan to pull it out every once in a while, maybe baste it, maybe flip the thing in its liquid, and a little bit past midnight we should be done. Alright, I'm going to put it in the oven. We'll check back later. Okay, so it's been about an hour. This is what it looks like. Not too appetizing. That's okay. Just gonna sort of baste it a little bit. And put it back in for another hour. Okay, we basted it an hour ago. This is what it looks like now. Figured I would try to flip it. I'm not quite sure how to do it. So I'm just going to grab it. There we go. It wasn't bad. Alright, it's looking good. Lid back on. Put it back in the oven for another hour. And we'll probably baste it again. Okay, another hour has gone by. It's bubbling a little bit. Figured I would baste it. I don't know if this is doing any good or not. Doing it anyway. And that's that. So it'll go in for another hour. Then I will flip it. And it should be done about half an hour after that. It's about 11:30 at night. It's been 4 hours since we started cooking. Got about a half hour left to go. I'm going to flip it over one more time. Just like that. And I thought just for curiosity I would take one of these things. Oh, it goes in so easily, that's good. Nice and tender. .165 would be what they call the safe temperature for beef. This should be well beyond that, and it is. Looks like it's about 200. Might get up to 210. Alright, very good. It's definitely hot enough to kill any pathogens. Alright, I'm not going to leave this out any longer. Put it in for another half hour, and then might be done. Okay, this is it. It's a little bit after midnight. This thing has cooked for 4.5 hours. That's 1 hour per pound. So, oven is off. We're gonna probably call it done, at least for the cooking portion of the job. Seems pretty soft. It's good. Alright, so what I'm going to do is remove it from the Dutch oven, put it in this dish here. Bring in some of these juices if I can. put the lid back on that. The broth is looking nice. Could maybe put some frozen vegetables in that and make soup. Maybe. Probably won't. That is a cooked cow tongue. I'm going to let that rest for 20 or 30 minutes, and then we peel it and slice it. This has been resting for 30 minutes, a little bit longer, so I'm going to give it a try to skin it and slice it. I was just noting some of this I was noticing is just, I guess that's fat, maybe glands, I don't know. Just going to trim some of that off. Bring this back over here for scraps. It's still pretty hot. So, but not too hot to handle. Okay, it's pretty hot under the skin though. The last one I cooked, which I steamed instead of roasted, was pretty difficult to peel, so I was curious to see if this one's easier. So far so good. Look at this, coming right off. Slippery, greasy. It's a little tough part back here. I'm going to go ahead and trim that off. Actually, this whole section seems kind of gross. See if I can get rid of that. Yeah, so right now I'm just looking for pieces that don't seem like good eats. That one's actually questionable, I would say. But good enough. There's this skin on the bottom of the tongue right here. Seems pretty well attached. Might have to cut that off. Might just depend on how hard I want to work for it. Peel it off or cut it off. It's really stuck on there pretty well. Don't want to cut too deep. Don't want to take much of the meat, even though the tip of the tongue is sort of the grossest part to eat, I think. So we cut it off, that piece of the skin, it's fine. That's pretty much peeled. Little bits of whatever that is here and there, but truthfully I probably don't mind eating that. It's just meat. You know, I think I'm going to rinse it off a little bit. Kind of dirty. how are we going to cut this? Last time I did one of these, I just sliced it. Such as that. Not a bad way to go for the tip down here, so I'm going to do it that way. Decided I would try to slice it a little thicker this time than I did last time. Last time was really thin, so this time I'm going a little thicker. I figure if it's too thick I can always cut it down later. Seems to cut pretty easily. Kind of pretty inside. Got a few colors going on in there. Now for this piece, yeah, we'll just keep slicing. Got some nice fat marbled in there and a few nasty little veins. Very juicy, very wet. Now that's got sort of a grayish, almost a greenish mixed in with it. That does not look so appetizing. That was probably just fine. Cut it a little bit like this, I think. It's not falling apart like I had hoped it would, like you might find in a pot roast or something like that. I'm not going to cut this with a fork, but maybe it's just not supposed to be that way for a tongue. There you go. That is sliced up. Pretty thick. We got about 1/2 inch steaks there. By the way, this stuff is good if you fry it. I haven't tried to grill one yet, but I could take one of these, fry it until it's sort of blackened on both sides. It's really good. I'm disturbed by all this weird texture and coloring. The last one didn't have all that. Maybe because the last one was smaller, younger, I don't know. Anyway, I'm sure it's all edible, and I'm getting ready to taste it here in a minute. Okay, 11.5 hours later, 1:02 in the morning, finished product. Take a piece, try it out. It is very juicy. Very tender, more tender than the one I steamed last time. think it tastes better too. Tastes very beefy. Still has that kind of, I don't know, I guess it's just how tongue tastes. But still beefy at the same time. Very tender. Looking forward to frying it, grilling it, whatever. And see how it goes. And again, I don't know about some of these weird looking ugly pieces, but I'm sure they're edible, and I'm sure I'll eat them. So that's it. That is a Dutch oven brined cow tongue. Thank you very much for watching. Bye. Well, I found some initiative and decided to go ahead and try to make some soup from that beef tongue broth. So what I've done here is I've taken the cooking juices and added to it the rest of the carton of beef broth, and I added in all the scraps that I trimmed off the meat after it was cooked, not the skin though, threw that away, and added some carrots, potatoes, lima beans, a couple bay leaves, black pepper, and garlic powder. It's looking good, and so I'll just keep it cooking here in the Dutch oven until everything's nice and tender.